Hi, this is Dave with DavesTR4, back with part 2 of my transmission top cover rebuild. As you can see, I've got it flipped over in my vise again, and I'm going to take off the shift mechanism here in the back and the interlock switches. That should take care of everything on the top that I have to get off before I can start taking the rods out from the bottom. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is take the this lock nut off the back here. That was 7/16, and these are 1/2 inch. Get these jam nuts off here, or get them loose. And then I can back out. These are the 2 end stops adjustments for how far the shift lever travels, left to right, so you can get it aligned with the shift rods on the bottom. That was something I kind of struggled with when I first got the car running. It was the shifting was a little rough as far as getting it. It would like the actual shift. I'll show you when I get this apart here, but those are very important to get adjusted right, or else it won't be smooth shifting, because you have to basically limit the travel so the shift lever just goes inside a little pocket in the shift arm and doesn't jam into the end of it, or maybe it doesn't go far enough or whatever, but you just have to get it to where it'll work right. So I get these out, whoops, and then this will come off. I know I'm not supposed to be using pliers on this, but oh well. Okay, so those are off, and then this will come off. Okay, and then the shift lever should just come out. So I don't see the little spring thing here. I'll have to look for that. There's the anti-rattle spring and the pin are probably down in the grease there. I'll have to be careful I don't lose that. Okay, so that's that part. Let's go on to taking the switches out. Okay, so here's the 3 interlocks. This one's reverse. I know that because I'm using the green wire for the switch. I haven't got it hooked up yet. I've still got it just looped up here on the end. One of these days I'll put a backup light in it. So what I'm going to do basically is just take the wires. It's not that important. I mean, that's basically interrupting the circuit. I guess they're actually called interrupters. But anyway, I'm going to take the wires loose one at a time, unscrew the interrupter, and just plug the wires back into it, and just do it on these 2, and I should be good to go. I just want to kind of keep it all together so it all goes back the same way. So let's see, we'll take these off. Get my BMF crescent wrench here. Loosen these up. And just plug that back in. Again, I don't think it's that important that you get the same one in the same hole, because it's kind of a serial. They both have to be, or one of them, either one can interrupt the circuit. So, look what I found. That's the little, so we can get it in the view here. Focus, come on. Well, anyway, this is the little anti-rattle thing. There should be a spring in there somewhere too, so I'll have to look for that. Put that in the parts thing. Okay, So that's those three, and I'm just going to pull these off. Okay, so here's my whole interrupter harness here, so that's going to go on the bench. Just going to make sure I don't lose these washers. Is that one there? Yeah. So here's the 2 fiber washers, don't want to lose those. And then the reverse interrupter comes out. And that's it. So I just have to, this is pretty dirty, I'll have to clean it all up, but that's, I'll do that once I get the whole thing apart. So that's it for the top, and I'll flip it over and we'll start looking at the bottom. Okay, so this is where everybody's expecting to see me take the top cover apart. However, my video card died on my camera, so I didn't even realize it till I went to download the movies from my camera to the computer. So anyway, we'll just see me taking it or putting it back together, I guess, at this point. So anyway, I do have the O-rings out of the cover, and they're hard as rocks, as I would expect after being sitting in oil for 60 years or whatever. So I have those on order from Team Triumph up in Warren, Ohio. Scott Harper's a good guy, and I try to spread my business around to different people. So not that I buy a lot, but just trying to support the hobby. So anyway, let's talk about what I found when I was taking this apart. So specifically, I want to show you the pieces that go in these detent screws that are on the transmission cover that hold the shift rods, and these, where is it? Wherever the detents are. Well, I guess it has these where basically it just goes into a detent to hold it in gear. You guys know that. So what I have here, this is the reverse out of the car, and what it consists of, I'm just putting these on magnets to kind of hold the pieces associated with each plunger together. So what we have is a little spacer, distance piece, a spring, and a screw. So that looks reasonable. If we look at the reverse on a spare case I had, same deal. It's got a distance piece, a spring, and the screw. We're good there. So if we go to first and second gear, we have a ball, a spring, and a set screw. And when I took it apart, it had the ball first, then the spring, and then the set screw, which is what you'd expect. Okay, on the one that was out of my spare case, same deal, a ball, the spring, and a set, the adjustment screw. And the sequence was the ball, the spring, and then the screw. What was interesting, on third gear, I have, this is one out of the car, I have a distance piece, a spring, and the set screw. And the order of installation was the spring was down on the rod, the distance piece was behind that, and the screw held it in. So there was basically the end of the spring was holding the shifter in third and fourth. And I'm really amazed that I didn't have any issues with, well, I did pop out of third gear one time when I was going down a real steep hill, and I downshifted in from fourth to third to slow down for a corner, and it popped out of gear. So that's probably why that happened. So anyway, if I look at third and fourth, where are we here? Okay, so this is the one out of my spare case. I have the trusty ball bearing, a spring, and the set screw. And of course it was, the order installation was the ball, the spring, and then the screw. So that was probably, I'm assuming, the way it has to be. So anyway, when I get it back together, it'll have the parts in the right sequence. And while I got it apart here, I'll show you the shift forks. This is third and fourth, and I read somewhere where you want to have, or the wear indication is, of course, how thick the wear surface is that goes in the synchro, as opposed to the actual fork itself. And you can see there's probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 thousandths of material on there. This one on the back, it's you can see it's just worn a little bit, but it's still got, I'm sorry, you can see it's worn a little bit, but it's still got pretty good meat on there, so I'm going to call that one good. And then if we look at first and second, this one looks very, very good. You know, that's got a lot on there. And then if we look at the back side, it's got a significant amount of material left on there too. So I think I'm in pretty good shape with the shift forks. So all I really need then is to get the O-rings, and I can put the cover back together. Everything else looks pretty good. So then one other thing I noticed too, you know, when you start going through, I'm just looking for anything and everything that I need to take a look at before Colleen and I take off for the West. And when I was going to install these pads, rubber pads on the two pedals, and I noticed that the clutch pedal had a lot of lateral movement. It could, you know, just rock, and that's also the one where the spring broke, the return spring. That may be associated, one may be associated with the other, I'm not sure. But anyway, when I ordered the O-rings, I was talking to Scott Harper up at Team Triumph and asked him if he can get me new bushings for the pedals, and he says, oh yeah, we have those. So he's going to throw those in the box also, so I'll be able to get the pedals set up to where they're not, you know, sloppy or anything. And the good news is, last night I was thinking about, geez, now I got to take the master cylinders loose and all that, but I really don't. I just, because the pedal assembly bolts up from the bottom, so if I just take the bolts loose, the pedals should just draw. Oh, I got to take the clevises loose on the master cylinders, of course, but it should just drop down, and then I can take that apart and fix that too. So anyway, that about wraps up part 2. When I get the parts in to fix this, I'll post another video putting this together, and then we'll move on to the next task. So I got plenty of time. We're not leaving for our trip till June, so maybe I'll post a quick video about that. It's going to be it kind of blossomed from just going to go drive up Pikes Peak to touring all through the Northwest. So anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3 when I put this all back together.